ABC News World Headquarters in New York. This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening, and now it is Monday, and the political establishment in Washington has had a weekend to gauge reaction to the Starr report about President Clinton. The pollsters and the press have had a pretty busy weekend, too. All of us trying to get a handle on how badly damaged the president has been. It is not resolved, however much battle fatigue people say they have. And when the most senior members of the president's own party say they are not satisfied with the president's standard of truthfulness, and when senior, even sympathetic members of both parties say the president has got to tell the truth as the rest of us understand it, then you know it is far from over. We're going to begin on Capitol Hill with ABC's Linda Douglas.
As members of the House Judiciary Committee came to a government building to go through thousands of pages of evidence against the president, Democratic leaders urged Mr. Clinton to admit that he lied about the details of his relationship with Monica Lewinsky. In a statement, Senate Democratic leader Tom Daschle said, "I agree with those who have grown impatient with hair-splitting over legal technicalities. The president had, as he concedes, a sexual relationship that was undeniably wrong, and he didn't tell the truth about it. The president and his advisors must accept that continued legal jousting serves no constructive purpose." Democratic House Leader Richard Gephardt said, "The judgment of the American people won't rise or fall on the fine distinctions of legal arguments." He called for straight talk and the truth. And a Democratic member of the Judiciary Committee added his voice.
Well, the president clearly lied about his relationship with Monica Lewinsky, and he should just say that he lied.
Several Democrats told ABC News the only way they can defend Mr. Clinton is if he finally appears to be telling the whole truth. Some predicted that if the president admits lying, they might be able to persuade Congress to censure the president, an official reprimand that could ward off the impeachment process. But Republican sources shot that idea down today. Some Democrats fear now there may be no way out for the president.
I see the Clinton presidency as being pretty severely damaged.
Democratic leaders now are virtually certain there will be an impeachment inquiry. Those who are calling on the president to admit lying acknowledge that could get him into more trouble. But some Democrats say at this point they are more worried about themselves in the fall elections. Peter?
Thank you, Linda. Linda Douglas on Capitol Hill. Despite the criticism today, there is no change in the White House strategy of denying that the president committed perjury. The president was here in New York today for politics and for policy, and Sam Donaldson was with him.
With a spring in his step and his wife by his side once again looking content and supportive, President Clinton gave no indication today that he feels like a man with his back to the wall. In fact, in a speech before the Council on Foreign Relations on the global economy, he made no reference to the scandal or his difficulties, just presented the picture of a president battling the Republican Congress for more money for the International Monetary Fund on behalf of American prosperity.
Let me put this as plainly as I can. Failure by this Congress to pay our dues to the IMF will put our own prosperity at risk.
Council members, including top diplomatic, business, and media leaders, gave him a warm reception. In the streets, there were few signs about the scandal one way or the other. And at a Democratic Party fundraising luncheon, where news cameras were not permitted, the president suggested that recent events had actually energized the party faithful to show up.
The adversity of the moment, I think, has led us to this record turnout. Why? Because people made a decision, and they thought they were needed, and they stood up.
Indeed, for the most part, local New York Democratic candidates in tomorrow's primary election stood up with the president also, if somewhat tentatively.
He's my friend. He's my president. He erred. He acted inexcusably, but I think not impeachably.
I'm going to be there tonight. I believe that the party tonight has a very important goal, which is helping Democrats take back the Senate and take back the House.
The skittishness of Democratic candidates was underscored today by the Democratic congressional leader's statement, calling on the president's lawyers to stop their hair splitting. In response, late today, the White House issued a statement saying the president does not want the work of his lawyers to get in the way of his admission that he was wrong, that no legalisms can obscure the fact that he knows he was wrong and that he has said it. But Peter, missing from this statement is any indication that the president has instructed his lawyers to change their tactics. And in fact, as of tonight, we are given to understand the lawyer's strategy is still very much in place.
Sam, in just a second, we're going to talk about why the lawyer's strategy may be as it may be, but stand by for just a second while I give you a poll number. Our latest poll finds that the president's job approval remains quite high. It's always been pretty high. 57% say they think Mr. Clinton should remain in office, and 39% think he should resign. Sam, just one more question. Is that the number on which the White House is focused?
The White House still has this number, but I must tell you, several of the president's aides worry that the president himself may be beguiled by these numbers, or by the fact that here in New York today, by the end of the day, he will have raised more than $4 million for the Democratic Party. They fear that he and Mrs. Clinton may look at these numbers, look at that money, and say, we don't have to do any more, and many of his aides know that that's not the strategy that will win for him.
Okay, Sam, thanks very much. In a moment, we'll take a look at some other numbers, which are not quite so encouraging for the president. And we'll also take a closer look at why the president will not say outright he lied.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings, brought to you by Cotton Incorporated.
When some people have allergies, they sneeze a lot. Others get an itchy, runny nose or nasal congestion. Me, I had it all. So I said to my doctor, enough already. He prescribed Flonase nasal spray.
Multi-symptom Flonase. Once a day relieves all nasal allergy symptoms all day and all night long. For any or all of those nasal symptoms.
All it takes is Flonase.
For best results, Flonase must be used daily. Maximum relief may take several days. Side effects are generally mild and may include headache, nosebleed, or sore throat. Call to learn more. Even kids as young as 4 can use Flonase. For nasal allergy relief, ask your doctor about multi-symptom Flonase.
When you get it all it takes is Flonase.
That was pretty tough language from some of the president's own today about not telling the truth before the grand jury or earlier in the Paula Jones case. So let's take a closer look at why the president's lawyers, and maybe the president, are so reluctant to use everyday language. Here's ABC's Jackie Judd on why they may be being so careful.
An admission by the president that he lied to the grand jury would carry with it great legal risks, including the possibility that independent counsel Ken Starr would take him to court.
He must have been worried that if he came out and said, I lied, I committed perjury, that there would be an indictment that would be unsealed the day after he left office.
Admitting perjury also would create all kinds of potential problems regarding the now dismissed sexual harassment lawsuit by Paula Jones. Judge Susan Weber Wright already has raised the possibility of a contempt citation against the president for making misleading statements in the Jones deposition, and Jones's lawyers might, according to sources, now push Judge Wright to act. A confession of perjury also could make it an easier decision for the Court of Appeals to reinstate the Jones case, leaving Mr. Clinton facing the embarrassment of standing trial while still in office.
An admission of perjury would, in my view, increase the likelihood that the Jones case is coming back from 98% to 100%.
And finally, if Mr. Clinton concedes an illegality on one point, it could make the other allegations contained in the Starr report, including obstruction of justice, all the more difficult for him to fight. Peter?
Thanks, Jackie. There was some, or there is, some frustration in the White House because it's hard to find anyone influential in the House of Representatives who might help the White House get out of this. On the Senate side, and remember, if the president is impeached, the Senate would be his jury. One of those who seems to be in search of a better solution is the Republican chairman of the Judiciary Committee. This afternoon, we asked Senator Orrin Hatch what the president had to say to satisfy him.
I think he really has to, in addition to the, I thought, good apology and request for forgiveness last Friday, I think that the president really has to just shoot square from here on in and quit trying to hide behind legal hair splitting and legal games. Frankly, his attorneys are trying to protect him from something that he's got to get beyond. He's got to talk straight and square with the American people.
Do you mean to say that the president must stop saying that his testimony in the Paula Jones deposition and before the grand jury was, quote, legally accurate, unquote?
Yeah, there isn't a jury in the world who would take that testimony and believe it. I think the attorneys don't quite realize that the American people have seen through this and are
now, come on, Senator,
smarter.
forgive me for interrupting.
Yeah.
You know exactly that the lawyers for the president know what they're doing.
Oh, sure I do. And what they're doing is legally correct, although he was not legally correct in his statements, but I think morally and politically wrong. And I think in the end, he might be able to protect himself somewhat legally, but in the end, he could lose the presidency.
Do I understand you clearly, Senator Hatch, that to satisfy you, the president must say to the American people, to the Congress, that he lied in his deposition in the Paula Jones case, and he lied in his testimony before the grand jury, and then the Congress and the country, in your view, can get on with life?
I don't even think he has to use the word lie. I think what he's got to say is, yes, I did have sexual relations with Monica Lewinsky. Once he does that, I think he'd be better off. I really do.
Well, it must be pretty obvious to everyone now that the country is still very divided about this. Here's another snapshot of public opinion from our own polling unit. 45% tell us they think the Starr report makes a strong case for impeachment. 42% think Mr. Starr's case is weak. That's quite a division. Looked at another way, after the president's lawyers' defense of him this weekend, 31% they said they thought it was a strong case against impeachment, and 59% said that they thought the president's lawyers' case was weak. As the week goes on, and it may be weeks actually, we'll watch to see whether public opinion shifts. Tonight, ABC's Aaron Hayes in North Carolina has a first take on how this is going down with some of America's teenagers.
Here at the Mountain State Fair, there's a lovely sense of innocence. Kids and 4-H.
Okay, turn. Let's start back to the barn.
And fun.
Yeah, turn around and smile big.
You might think this would be as far away from the worries of Washington as one could get. It is not. The local paper, filled with every detail, was where all could read it, even the kids. Daniel Trantham has read it at 16. He is disgusted, he says, with the president.
He's living in not his White House, our White House. And I think it's right that people should know what he's done.
His grandfather worries about the effect of it all on Daniel's generation.
They say, well, the president did this and did that, got by with it. Why can't we do it?
Just listen in across town here at Asheville High School, Mr. McDonald's class, where it is clear an ugly chapter is being added to American history.
And here's our president, the most powerful man in the world at this time, and if he can't handle his life, then how is he going to lead our country?
I think that now he's weakened so much that a lot of people find when he gets up and says, I have sinned and I shouldn't have done it. It's almost funny.
And they echoed the difficulty so many are having with all of this.
And although he did lie and that is morally wrong, how is that really going to affect the way he governs our country?
I think that it'd just be easiest to let the whole thing drop.
Plenty wish it could just go away. Back at the fair, kids say they're tired of hearing about it.
Just get it over with. I mean, it's already happened. What's the use? We'll keep worrying about it. Oh, no.
The children, like so many of their parents, want life, the country, back to normal, whatever it takes. Aaron Hayes, ABC News, Asheville, North Carolina.
The next generation. Tomorrow, by the way, we're going to take a closer look at the scene behind ours and everybody else's polling unit in the country to see how we get at those numbers and what they mean over the long haul. When we come back this evening, some of the other news: making airbags safer, how to protect the most vulnerable. And George Wallace is dead, a man of the South, both old and new.
A neglected septic system is like a time bomb under your house. Diffuse it with maintenance and advanced formula Rid-X septic treatment. It digests grease and paper and helps keep your system trouble-free. Diffuse that time bomb. Use Rid-X every month.
Life's an adventure because you're over 50 and still exploring. So take the Centrum made just for you, Centrum Silver, with age-essential nutrients specially adjusted to keep pace with your changing nutritional needs. Centrum Silver, it's a great time to be silver.
What's the difference between Pillsbury cinnamon rolls and prepackaged? Wake up to Pillsbury cinnamon rolls.
Nothing compares.
Right, Seattle. I start my job on Monday. I want to do something about my retirement plan.
Okay, no problem.
Jane, Andy, please.
Sounds like your hands are pretty full there. Don't worry about this. A rollover specialist can handle all the transfer paperwork for you and make sure you avoid penalties. We can also help you with the new tax laws.
Oh, thanks. You've been a really big help.
Oh, good. Good luck with the move.
Nobody in this house ever gets diarrhea.
Is my stomach okay?
Or nausea.
I was sick to my stomach.
Or even indigestion.
Oh, my stomach.
But for all those stomach problems, I'm ready with Pepto-Bismol. It's a whole first aid kit for stomachs.
As it coats, Pepto relieves most any stomach problem. Not just a few like these other leading medicines. Pepto-Bismol.
Whether it's their stomachs, or stomachs.
It's first aid for heartburn, diarrhea, nausea, indigestion, and upset
stomachs.
In Washington today, the government proposed to make airbags in cars safer. Airbags, as you know, have been credited with saving thousands of lives, but also are blamed for 113 deaths, mostly children. And that is what the government is trying to stop. Here's ABC's Lisa Stark.
Right now, automakers are only required to test airbags using a medium-sized 170-pound male test dummy. Under the proposed rule, that would change. Automakers would have to make sure airbags are safe as well for small females and children ages 6, 3, and 1. A move applauded by the father of Allison Sanders, one of the 65 children killed by an exploding airbag.
This in turn will force the automakers to design their systems in a way that are demonstrated to be safe in the kinds of conditions where airbags are now killing people.
Automakers will look at several new technologies, sensors demonstrated here to determine the weight and position of an occupant, so the bag deploys with proper speed and force, and airbags with 2 deployment speeds, less powerful for less severe crashes, more powerful for high-speed crashes. But there's also a controversial requirement for the airbag to protect adults not wearing seatbelts. Automakers warn this means a return to higher-powered airbags.
That's going to lead, without a doubt, to the repowering of airbags. That is not good for public safety.
Already, cars are sporting side airbags and head protection airbags. In development, airbags to protect knees and hold an occupant in place, and inflatable seatbelts. As for the advanced airbags, they're required beginning in 4 years. Automakers plan to beat that deadline. Lisa Stark, ABC News, Washington.
Investors who wanted greater focus on the global financial crisis were encouraged by the attention the president paid to the subject today. On Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrials gained a little under 150 points to close at 79.45. On the NASDAQ market, stocks gained a fraction over 24 points. In Florida today, 10 people have been charged with spying for the Cuban government. Federal investigators say the suspects were working to get into U.S. military bases in Tampa and Key West and Miami. They're also accused of trying to break into anti-Castro groups in the U.S., namely penetrate them. One of those charged had worked for the Cuban exile group Brothers to the Rescue, and 2 of the accused are American citizens. When we come back, how will the country remember George Wallace, the governor and the presidential candidate with a past he said he lived to regret?
When your allergies are a nightmare, you need help. Not just any help. You need the power of Zyrtec. Prescription Zyrtec starts working fast. and keeps on working for 24 hours. And Zyrtec works against so many allergies, from cats and dogs to pollen and dust. So when allergies are a nightmare, and when are they not? Remember the power of Zyrtec. In studies, drowsiness was the most common side effect. Others included fatigue and dry mouth. Most side effects were mild or moderate. Most people weren't bothered by them enough to stop taking Zyrtec. To learn more, look for our ad in Life magazine or ask your doctor or pharmacist.
Neutrogena T-Gel Shampoo. Recommended #1 by dermatologists. It works. Works on all 3 major itchy, flaky scalp conditions. The leading prescription dandruff shampoo doesn't. Neutrogena T-Gel Shampoo. It works.
Hey, you want a green light to eat like never before? I do. Healthy Choice has a whole menu of unbelievably delicious dishes, incredible meals. New chicken stir fry with a crispy fried egg roll. Big hearty handful stuffed end to end with gooey cheese. My favorite, shrimp and vegetables with bow tie pasta and a creamy basil garlic sauce. All around 5 grams of fat. 5. There's no stopping me now. Healthy Choice. Your green light to eat what you like.
I need to feel strong.
I need him. Because we all need something different to feel our best, One A Day has created different formulas. One especially for women, one for men, and one for people over 50. One A Day. It's just what you need.
Savor the summer. Live Maine lobster, specially priced at $14.99. At Red Lobster, the season isn't over.
There is no easy way to describe the complex life of former Alabama Governor George Wallace, who died last night in Montgomery at the age of 79. He will likely be remembered more for his work to keep the races separate than for the change of heart he had about it later in life. Wallace's legacy now rests with the explosive way that he shaped politics in the South and framed the debate about race in the rest of the country. ABC's Jim Wooten covered many of Wallace's campaign, and here's his review.
This is how he made his entrance onto the American political stage.
And I say segregation now, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever.
It was 1963, and in those few harsh words, the new governor of Alabama fixed forever the face of his public image. In a changing society, he would not change. Instead, like his Confederate ancestors, he would stand for the old ways of the Old South. Stand between the federal government, for example, and the integration of the state university that June.
Do hereby denounce and forbid this illegal and unwarranted action by the central government.
He soon surrendered there, of course, as he always surrendered eventually, but he also soon discovered that win or lose, millions of white Americans stood with him, and they became the energy of his clamorous career. In 4 consecutive presidential campaigns, he exploited and exacerbated the country's racial tensions, denying and disguising his anti-black appeal with an anti-federal rhetoric. He wasn't a racist, he said, but a populist who stood with the common folks against a common enemy, the briefcase-toting bureaucrats, the pointy-headed intellectuals, the liberals, and the lying press. And that message won him 5 southern states in 1968, enough, said some analysts, to guarantee Richard Nixon's election. In any event, Wallace was flying high when his 1972 campaign abruptly ended in a burst of gunfire in suburban Maryland. He was permanently paralyzed with a bullet in the spine, and yet he was elected governor 3 more times, and in between there was 1 more try for the White House. It was a sad campaign that went nowhere.
The main reason that I'm arriving here not to accept the nomination is because I didn't get enough votes. I got defeated.
Finally, in January 1987, in constant pain from his wounds, he administered the state treasurer's oath to his son and left office for the last time, a shadow of the fierce campaigner he once had been. But he had also changed in other ways, and for the remainder of his days, George Corley Wallace tried to make clear what was finally clear to him, that racial segregation was morally wrong, and he had been wrong to defend it. Jim Wooten, ABC News.
We'll be back with the final word in just a moment.
If you're using two products, one to kill germs and one to shine your kitchen, it can feel like you've got two of everything. It doesn't have to. Introducing new Windex Antibacterial Glass and Surface Cleaner. The first antibacterial that not only kills tough germs, but leaves a streak-free Windex shine. Without the film the leading antibacterial can leave behind. So why deal with two unless you have to?
Mom, I'm hungry.
Try new Windex Antibacterial. It's time for a germ-free shine. S.C. Johnson.
Welcome to My Mailboxes, etc. You know, this may look like a regular mailbox, but let me tell you the secret. You get a street address, not just a P.O. box number. That means we can sign for your FedEx shipments and other packages. You get an entire support staff. Where else are you going to be able to call and check your mail? I mean, come on, who's going to do that for you? We'll also forward that mail anywhere in the world. Can your mailbox do that?
You could win $50,000. Play What's in the Box, now at your neighborhood mailboxes, etc.
Why does Tums control acid faster than Pepcid AC? Because they work on your stomach acid in totally different ways. Tums Calcium naturally, rapidly neutralizes acid so it works fast. Pepcid AC's famotidine has to travel through your bloodstream, so it takes at least 40 minutes to block natural acid production. So why does Tums work on acid faster and cost less, and Pepcid AC works slower and costs more?
Good question.
White folk make the best neighbors because they will watch your house whether you want them to or not. Every time I walk out, I'm like, who is that? What's going on? They always got extra stuff, too. I have some extra jelly. Would you like some extra jelly? When I was growing up, we never had nothing extra. Hey, man, can I borrow an egg? Nope, man, I got one egg, and that's going in my cornbread.
Daryl Hughley, ABC Tuesday, September 22nd.
Just a brief review of the main story. Members of the president's own party are calling on him to admit that he lied in the Monica Lewinsky case, even if that means he committed perjury. The Democratic leader in the Senate, Tom Daschle, says he's impatient with the hair splitting over legal technicalities, and he is not the only one. Finally tonight, an exciting reminder that with only 2 weeks left in the regular baseball season, there is more history to be made. Sammy Sosa has caught up.
The 0-1.
In Chicago yesterday, with number 61, Sosa tied Roger Maris's 1961 home run record for most home runs in a season.
Swung on, there she goes!
And then, same game, he tied Mark McGwire. There was an extraordinary scramble for the ball. 3 different people are still fighting over who got the ball first. Sosa's jersey and bat made it to the Hall of Fame this afternoon. And here's what's exciting. Who's going to win the season? Both men play tonight. That is our report on World News Tonight. Later on Nightline, the attacks on the president's legal defense. I'm Peter Jennings. We hope you have a good evening, and we'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
Tomorrow, do you believe what the polls say? Are they accurate? Who are these people anyway? Watch ABC's World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source. ABC News, now always on.